The Eagles' latest rumors ahead of the NFL draft are pretty crazy, as a recent report has everybody speculating that the Birds could make a trade for a big-name player on draft weekend. However, the Eagles' actual plan might be a little different from that, and that plan reportedly might include the Birds doing something pretty surprising early on in the draft. So, in this video, I'm going to break down all the latest Eagles trade rumors and draft buzz. Plus, Cam Jurgens just gave us an update on his back injury, while Jalen Hurts made some headlines as well. So I'll cover that too, and I'm getting started right now. The Eagles just finally went out on Monday and made the much-needed move that we've all been waiting for. Of course, that being signing center Cam Jurgens to a massive 4-year, $68 million contract extension that's going to keep him in Philly through the 2029 season. And obviously, this was an extremely important move for the Birds to get done, just to keep their franchise center around for the long term and do it at as low of a price as possible. And now, with this signing, the Eagles have 4 of their starting offensive linemen locked up through the 2027 season, 3 through 2028. So, safe to say, that group is only going to continue their dominance and get even better as the years go on. And also, with Jurgens now being signed, that makes 8 of the Eagles' 11 offensive starters that are signed through at least 2027. So, the Birds are going to have some much-needed continuity on offense personnel-wise for the foreseeable future. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, there is a lot to like with this extension. And shortly after signing the deal, Cam actually addressed the Philly media in a press conference on Monday. And it's safe to say he was pretty hyped too, because this is the place that he always wanted to be.
I mean, it feels kind of surreal. I feel like, I've been playing football for as long as I can remember, and, getting to a point like this, I mean, this is life-changing. So thrilled that I got lucky enough to get drafted here and being in the best spot I possibly could be, and now getting this deal done. I mean, I feel, secure that I'm going to be here for a long time, and yeah, it's wild to think that I'm finally here.
Why now? When in theory you have another strong year, your value's higher, but there's obviously risk. What's kind of the thought process for a player like you to sign the deal as quickly as you do?
I think it's the same thing that the Eagles think. The Eagles love me, and I love the Eagles. Why wait another year when we can get this done? I think it's just as simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, I love that mentality there at the end, because it's pretty clear that Cam wasn't trying to get as much money as possible and wait till the last second, like he said. He just wanted to get a deal done because this is the place that he always wanted to be. So, it's awesome to get him wrapped up for the long term, have that security that he's going to be here for the foreseeable future. And something else that's great about the extension is that it also saved the Eagles a bit of cap space for this offseason, as according to Over the Cap, the move created about $3.3 million in cap space. Now, obviously, we don't know the full details of the contract yet, so that number isn't concrete, but still, the Eagles likely did save a bit of money in the short term with this extension. So, real quick, drop a like down below for that. Let's see if we can hit at least 500 likes today. Now, one other good thing that actually came out of Cam Jurgens' presser is that we finally got to hear from him after he got off-season back surgery, which of course was to alleviate some nerve pain that he was dealing with in the playoffs and Super Bowl. So he was asked about that, how he's feeling, and whether he thinks that that'll be an issue going forward, and his answer was extremely positive.
Yeah, it's still a process. Whenever you get surgery, it takes a little bit to get through the rehab process and get back to it. So still going through that, but man, I feel like a new man. I feel so much better.
Did they assure you that it wouldn't be reoccurring?
Yeah, I mean, I'll make a full recovery. I feel very confident about that, and I'm not going to be worried about it. It's going to be nice to have this problem in my past.
Yeah, so it's definitely great to hear that Cam Jurgens is feeling healthy and this injury isn't going to be something that impacts him long term. Speaking of long term though, obviously the NFL draft is just a few days away now, where the Eagles are undeniably going to add a few players that are going to be here for the long term. And in regards to that, we actually just got some late Eagles pre-draft visit news, with Tim McManus reporting that the Birds at some point brought in Penn State safety Kevin Winston Jr. on a top 30 visit, which not only makes him the second PSU safety that Philly visited with, but it just further confirms even more that the Birds very much are interested in adding a safety, possibly early in the draft, as Winston Jr. is a prospect that is likely to go on day 2, and he has a lot of really exciting traits, including his good size, elite run defense, his physicality, and hard-hitting style, while also remaining under control, and also he has decent zone ability as well. Now, the knocks on Winston would be his health, having played just 3 games last year after tearing his ACL, and also his coverage skills in the back end in general definitely need a lot of work. So he's got some developing to do for sure, but as a day 2 prospect, he could make sense as a target for Philly. But now moving on, one name that has been linked to Philly more and more in recent days is UCLA edge rusher Oluwafemi Oladejo. As in addition to the fact that the Eagles have done a lot of work on him pre-draft, including bringing him in on one of their top 30 visits, we just got a report from NFL insider Tony Pauline saying that Oladejo could potentially maybe even be in play for the Eagles at the end of the first round. As in a recent article, Pauline wrote, quote, "In conversations late last week, I was informed that Oladejo will end up being selected anywhere from pick 30 to 45. Besides the Niners, who hold pick 43, I'm told the Philadelphia Eagles with the last pick in round 1, as well as the Tennessee Titans and New England Patriots at the top of round 2 are possibilities to pull the trigger on Oladejo." Now, this is definitely interesting because originally, I'm pretty sure Oladejo was expected to go probably on day 2 or maybe even later than that, but I guess in the recent weeks and months, he's been rising up draft boards just due to his high potential and high character, including the Eagles draft board, because as Anthony DeBona pointed out on Twitter, quote, "Oluwafemi Oladejo is an ascending player that checks nearly every box both on and off the field. If you listen to Oladejo at the Senior Bowl or in any interviews, he screams a prospect that Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni would fall in love with." Now personally, I have mixed opinions on this, because on one hand, Oladejo does seem like a prospect that the Eagles would love to get their hands on, and he does have really high potential. It's just that unlocking that potential is going to take some time, and there isn't any guarantee that he will become the player that he has the potential to be. So, personally, I'm not the biggest fan of the Eagles taking him at pick 32. I mean, if they could get him in a later round, then I'd be happy with that. But I just feel like at 32, there's going to be some other really good players there that are more of a sure thing. And while taking Oladejo could pay off, it also could be a situation where the Eagles just outsmart themselves, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens, but I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts on this. How would you feel if the Eagles took Oladejo at pick 32? Speaking of prospects that have been rising up draft boards, though, we switch our focus to LSU tight end Mason Taylor, who is yet another guy who the Eagles have been linked to heavily as of late, and has even been speculated as a possible target for the Birds at 32. And the rumors surrounding that only heated up on Monday when NFL draft analyst Daniel Jeremiah said this on Mina Kimes' show.
I think when I started mapping this out, I was on with it. Well, I'll tell you afterwards, but with one of the better GMs in the league, and we were going through guys, and it was like you start getting to the end of the round, you start looking at names, and it's like I know exactly what I'm buying with Mason Taylor. Like the rest of these guys, it's some hit and miss, and he's like, I know exactly who and what he is. So we'll see what happens.
Now, people have speculated that this GM that DJ was talking about could have been Howie Roseman, just given the description as one of the better GMs in the league, and also because Jeremiah did work under Howie as a scout for 3 years in Philly. So let's just assume that DJ was talking about Howie for a second. Now, on one hand, I agree that Mason Taylor is a lot more of a sure thing than a lot of these guys, and you do know more of what you're getting, especially when compared to a guy like Oladejo, but I just don't think that Taylor's worth the Eagles' first-round pick. Now, if you can get him in a later round, then I would love that, because I do think Mason Taylor is a really solid tight end prospect and could be a good replacement for Dallas Goedert, but I just think they got to get the right value, and I don't think that's in the first round. All that said, there's no guarantees that DJ was even talking about Howie in the first place, and even if he was, this is the time where these teams are leaking stuff and putting out smoke screens to throw other teams off the scent. So we're really just going to have to wait and see how it all plays out during the draft. And the same goes for what draft weekend trades the Eagles might make, because there's been a lot of rumors surrounding that in recent weeks as well, with the most recent ones coming from NFL insider Adam Schefter, as he says that the Eagles are more likely to trade for a veteran than they are to trade up in the first round, saying, quote, "With the added pick firepower, Philadelphia is armed to make more trades, but deals for veterans instead of moving up in round 1 are considered more likely." And of course, that started a whole bunch of rumors on Monday and got people thinking about what veterans exactly the Eagles could target in a trade. And a name that I saw mentioned a lot was the Cardinals star safety Budda Baker, who of course is a fantastic player and could fill the hole at safety that the Eagles currently have. That said, there's just no chance that the Cardinals would trade Budda Baker, considering that he just signed a new 3-year deal with them late last season. Not to mention that financially, this move wouldn't make any sense for the Eagles, considering that their entire offseason has revolved around clearing up cap space to extend their own young players, and Budda Baker has cap hits of $10 million, $19 million, and nearly $21 million over the next 3 years, so it just doesn't make sense. But then what about somebody like Jaguars edge rusher Travon Walker, who there have been rumors about linking him to the Eagles in the past? Now, on one hand, I do really like Walker and would love to add him to this Eagles defensive line and pass rush, and I would say this is a bit more realistic of a move than trading for Budda Baker, but at the same time, I just don't really see it happening, simply because Walker has cap hits of nearly $12 million and nearly $15 million the next 2 seasons. And again, that likely doesn't fit into the Eagles' financial plans over these next few years, so I could be wrong, but I just don't see the Eagles trading for a guy like Travon Walker or really any other big name just based on what they've done this offseason so far. And instead, I would say look out for the Eagles to do something similar to what they've done in the past. And Anthony DeBona did a great job summing it up here. Like, look at all the guys the Eagles have traded for during the offseason since 2021. All of them have been on cheap rookie deals, so with money tighter than ever, I would expect more of the same this year. Now, who specifically could the Eagles go after in a draft day trade? I'm not exactly sure, but one name I have seen thrown around quite a bit for months now is Raiders tight end Michael Mayer, but I'm sure there's also plenty of other options out there that I'm just not thinking of. So, again, we'll just have to wait and see what happens, but I'm definitely expecting Howie Roseman and the Eagles to be very active in the trade market this draft weekend. But now, moving on here, how about Jalen Hurts once again with yet another accomplishment, this time gracing the cover of the latest issue of Men's Health magazine? I mean, it's just awesome seeing QB1 in the news over and over and over again, with him getting to do all this cool stuff, and he's just easily becoming one of the faces of the league. And also, shout out to him, because in the interview with Men's Health, he revealed that he officially got married to his now wife, Bree Burrows, in the spring, so congrats to them. And also, something else that Jalen Hurts has been doing in the spring is just continuing to work hard and staying locked in, as he and the Eagles are looking to repeat next year. I mean, you can see it here in this footage that Hurts released to his social media, and also just listen to what Hurts trainer John Beck, who has also trained guys like Tom Brady and other top quarterbacks, had to say about the Birds QB on the Rich Eisen show.
I can tell you this, because he was just on the field last week. When a guy shows up after winning the Super Bowl and he is focused on little details, I'm talking little details to enhance things by fractions of the second. When you take that approach after reaching the pinnacle, that's that, like, I think when I think of like the Michael Jordans, the Kobe Bryants, of those type guys, that had to be their approach. Like, okay, I got to the summit. I want to do it again, but I'm not going to go as the same player. I'm going to try to do it again as even a better player. And that's the approach that I've seen him take this offseason.
What's an example of what the little things that he's worked on?
A little arm path thing to get the ball out just a titch sooner. You don't need it in all your throws, but if you can have that here or there, and that can be the difference in, and that may only be like 2 to 3 completions over a 2 to 3 game span. But what if those are on critical third downs in the fourth quarter? What if that's the difference maker? That's where I believe his mindset is at. And so it's cool, it's cool to see that. You would not know standing out on the field that the approach is any different from a season where you might have felt like, man, that didn't go like we want. We need to be pedal to the metal. We need to be doing everything we can. There's not a different approach now that he's won the Super Bowl. It's the same approach.
I don't know about you guys, but that just gets me so fired up. Like, Jalen Hurts is a madman. He does have that MJ Kobe mentality. I've been saying that for a while now, and he clearly is just as hungry as ever to improve and climb the mountain once again next year. And you guys know that I'm going to be continuing to cover everything for the Eagles this entire offseason, including, of course, the draft here in just a couple days. So if you don't want to miss anything, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. And also, while you're at it, make sure you drop a like to show some support as well, because it really does help me out a ton. Again, let's see if we can get to 500 likes today. And also, leave a comment down below just regarding anything that I talked about in this video. If the Eagles do make a trade for a veteran player, who do you think they could actually realistically go out and get? Again, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And also, if you want to watch another Eagles video, you can check this one out right here. And now, with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.